Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Tonight I've got a story coming from Zambia. I think there's a lot of positive things that have happened in Zambia, and this is one of the positive things. And I think it should be promoted and encouraged, and maybe with a bit of luck, we can get some of our own politicians, or rather force them to adapt the same um, ideas. Let's just listen to this interview.
A suggestion which is topical and has caused some controversy is I actually think we need lifestyle audits. I was Solicitor General. I worked as Attorney General. Why should I be afraid of being checked if I didn't steal? I should be asked what I have, how I got it, and when I tell you that it's from allowances, I should prove that. If I tell you I have businesses, let me show the businesses, but I should also show what tax I paid. We must all account for the wealth we have. Otherwise, don't go into public service. I have heard some rebuttals about this lifestyle audit issue and saying everyone should then do it. We can't target people. Does everyone handle public money? Those of us who choose to enter these public offices should be open to accountability. When you are in public office, you are not a private person. There is no privacy. If you drive a Range Rover, we want to know where you got the money. Because you are in public office. If you wear a Rolex, we want to know where you got the money. Otherwise, you don't qualify to serve, and you shouldn't serve in those offices. And that would be true no matter which party came into power. Progressive organizations do at lifestyle audits. I don't know. You can't become a millionaire out of serving in government. How have you done it? How have you done it without abusing your position? If people want to be business people, go and do business. If you want to serve the people, serve the people.
It's funny because just a week ago, I had the minister responsible for Lusaka, Honorable Bowman Nsambo. I asked him a very good question. I asked him where he's gotten all his monies from. I asked him if he's involved in some form of baiting. He said, no, I do work, and the money that government gives me is enough for me to spend.
Ask him for his payslip. That payslip is public. You are a journalist, go on Bowman or someone, ask him for his payslip. You are entitled. He's saving you, the people. Seek for that information and check. Go and get my payslip. I can give you the payslip I was getting. I don't think I ever got anything more than 30,000 kwacha as a net salary in that office.
Probably maybe ministers get something way beyond that.
Where?
You can tell
as Attorney General, I was serving in cabinet. Ask the ministers who are telling you they are being paid enough to give you their payslip.
Benjamin, what do you think of that one?
Good evening to you, to our viewers. Thank you for joining us. Wow, yeah, that is powerful. Bless him, for he has spoken the truth. Now, to get our own guys to implement it, I don't think they will be open to it, because I mean, let's be realistic. The lifestyle that most of these guys that are in government, top offices, they are living is just beyond a civil servant's lifestyle. It's, you obviously know they're millionaires by the way they live, the fancy houses, the cars, the parties now, the buying of gifts for, I mean, most of it is actually, well, in Zimbabwe, the corruption is so much, it's no longer under the table. We had, a list of how much they owe, in terms of loans. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, if somebody is saying that, they're not very well paid, and you're giving them a loan of 500,000, like the ones that they were given to ministers and judges, how on earth do you expect them to pay back? It just shows you that something is not right there. I'll also even go to an example where Mugabe retired and he was granted $10 million for his services. Yet somebody that has been a teacher, or a doctor in government, he walked away with $1,000. I mean, the disparity between the two is just so much. You then know there is something definitely wrong with our lifestyle, with our audits. There is something fishy going on there. So I agree with him. If we were to implement it in Zimbabwe, I'm telling you, probably we would remove most of the criminals that are inside jail, because theirs, is so small and insignificant. Probably was arrested because, they stole a bucket of maize. These guys have plundered millions, if not billions, in total. So I agree with him.
I think we need to separate the two issues here. What he's talking about here is a lifestyle audit. In this particular case, when somebody has got mansions in Dubai and have been living there for years, one has got to ask, where is the individual getting the money from? And in this particular case, we have got also to ask about the lifestyle audit of people who are even, we've got their mansions in Zimbabwe. You build a mansion like our friend, Sevia Kasukuwere. He is, of course, is nothing compared to Mugabe's blue roof mansion. But even then, you ask yourself, you're building this mansion, bulletproof windows, not even an AK rifle bullet could break that glass. Where did you get the money from? The lifestyle audit is now imperative. And I think people of Zimbabwe should wake up to that reality. As long as we're talking of corruption, if we do not have a lifestyle audit of these people in public office, then we are not serious. I think one of the positive things that has happened to Zambia is that they have had the fortune of having a few political leaders who have come up and say, this is not right. President Hichilema is led by example. And I think the pressure should start mounting that we also demand the same thing, because that is the only way we are going to deal with this problem of looting. He mentioned there that if somebody is wearing a Rolex watch, we should ask him, where did he get the money to buy it? And yet, we know some of our politicians do not have just one Rolex. They've got 45 of them. Where did you get that money? It's absolutely ridiculous. And the whole thing is absurd. What would you be doing with 45 Rolex watches? Go to their mansion. There is a fleet of Porsche cars parked outside. Where did you get that money from? To buy those cars? I think in this particular case, having a lifestyle audit is becoming imperative. The people of Zimbabwe, if you want to stamp out corruption, you have to have lifestyle audit of these people. He was talking of only those in public office, but I think we've got to extend it to those in private sector. If you have not stolen, why not? Why shouldn't you have a lifestyle audit? People can have a look at your tax returns. If you buy a car worth $1 million US dollars, look at your tax returns, and they can see that you have earned $1 million, and this is how you spend it, and you paid income duty on the car as everybody else. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not just public office, even those in private life. Because sometimes you find the two are related. You cannot separate the two. Many in Zimbabwe who are in private life or semi-private life, working for parastatals, for instance, are incredibly rich for no other reason other than they've got the right political connections. They become a conduit used by those in public office. They get some of the money and they keep some of it, and they give the chef some of it too. A private individual who pays their income tax like everybody else and becomes incredibly rich, there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. We must start having an open and transparent society. And the issue of lifestyle audit is absolutely imperative.
Yes, I agree with you, especially if you are going to be serving the public. Yes, the private sector is right now, with the amount of corruption that we have in Zimbabwe, it has roped in most, some of these so-called private, business, businessmen or businesswomen. Some of them, it's so absurd. You find out he's almost getting to couple of millions or millions actually, but yet you find their business just employs maybe a secretary and a driver. Surely that doesn't make any sense. How do you manage your empire? What do you do? What do you sell? We don't see it. It just shows you something is not right. If you're not part and parcel of the looting, you are doing something definitely that is illegal, and you're not benefiting the country in any way. I mean, look, some of these, the list is endless. You have Ignatius Chombo that got, when during the coup, that had money stashed away over 10 million in bags, not in the bank, in bags. You don't know what happened to the rest. This was what he needed just to stay within his house. Obviously, he had stashes all over the place. Like you were saying, Kasukuwere, a bulletproof mansion. Even the vice president, Chiwenga, he's got a beautiful mansion, but this guy was a soldier. Surely it doesn't total together. No matter how much you do and do the math, it will not come together. It just doesn't fit in. This is where you find, like I said earlier,
Now,
where you
another
find
suggestion which is topical and has caused some controversy is I actually think we need lifestyle audits.
Sorry, pardon me there. I didn't realize it was going to play again.
Oh,
Go ahead,
okay.
sorry.
So, like I was saying, if you're to do the whole audit to say, how much are they getting paid, and the loan facilities that are given actually by government, you would find out, it doesn't make any sense at all. We're still, when Zimbabwe, most Zimbabweans are surviving at at the bottom of the food chain. It just shows that, our government is not people oriented. These guys are just there to loot, whether be it, the ones that are in the ruling party and the ones that are in the opposition. They all partook of all this here loot. There's none of them that can say their hands are clean. They were part and parcel by them taking $40,000 for loans, and they've been taking and taking, and none has ever paid back. You see, this is where you find, if you're going to have this year lifestyle audit, I suggest you have it before you enter the office and when you leave the office. The balances should show, because, I mean, yes, you are getting paid, but within the 5 years, how much wealth have you accumulated? And we will target the ones close to you so that we see also what wealth they've included, because we know most of these people, they take relatives now. I mean, this is what these guys are doing. They get relatives roped in, build houses in their names, buy stands in their names, buy all sorts of things in their names, and then they will settle each other once the what? Once the situation has died down. We have to look into all this. And if we cannot do that, I don't see, especially for Zimbabwe, I don't see this whole rot, stopping anytime soon. We have to, by doing that audit through private companies, hiring private detectives to find out what is going on in their lifestyle before and after. I think we can win this war against corruption.
Yeah, in my concluding remark, I would like to extend this from financial to an audit accountability of what somebody has done while they're in office. This comes back to the issue of how you performed as a minister or president and so forth. We have failed to hold our leaders to account on their performance in public office. Mnangagwa, when he got into power and when he replaced Mugabe following the 2017 military coup, he promised to hold free, fair, and credible elections. No one can ever deny that he has failed to live up to that promise. Last year in particular, not only did the regional body, SADC, the continental body too, AU, election observers, condemned Zimbabwe's last year's elections as being flawed and illegitimate. We have got to hold those people to account, particularly on the issue of free, fair, and credible elections, because this is the very essence of good governance. If the politicians cannot hold free, fair, and credible elections, you will never hold them to account on anything, including their financial dealings. The opposition, the same thing. The people of Zimbabwe were conned by Nelson Chamisa, promising that Triple C would win big the 2023 elections. He was warned several times. How are they going to win big when it's clear that ZANU-PF is rigging the elections? And his answer, I've plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. Only the day after the election, he started complaining that the elections were rigged. What happened, or what happened to your promise that you plugged all the vote rigging loopholes? We have failed to hold people like him to account. And this is why we are in this mess. So the issue of holding those in public office to account is a very important one. And I think Zimbabweans will start thinking about these issues seriously. Because until we do, we'll be going round and round in circles. That's my last remark on the issue. Do you want to give your concluding remarks, Ben?
So in conclusion, I would agree with you to say, for us to get accountability, we need to have people in office that are of of clear and sound mind, people that we have verified that they can live up to the task and are competent of doing or delivering on their promise. And so far, that candidate is not yet been found, because most of them have come and they have promised a lot of nonsense. And the worst thing about, once they have failed, they have never admitted failure. Rather, they have passed the blame on somebody else. Is either SADC has done this, or its sanctions has done this. And then, people wonder to say, why is the other one saying sanctions? Well, why is the other one saying SADC? Both of them are guilty. And until they admit their own guilt, those people are of no good to us, because they have already shown signs that they are not accountable. So, and as we go deeper into this accountability, of course, yes, I believe this gentleman is right to say, before we choose or we let somebody into an office, we need to know what he's carrying, such that he doesn't live heavier than what he ought to be. He should be just paid for his good service, if it was good service. If it was bad, he should be terminated and should go without anything. This is why I wonder sometimes, how can you give somebody like Mugabe 10 million for ruining? I mean, if ruining something pays you 10 million, then that's a very easy job. So I agree. At the end of the day, we need to have a lifestyle audit, especially for those in public office. I think if we have the ones that are in public office, accountable, it will fall into place for the private sector as well. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benjamin, and to the listeners there. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Good night.